Hi, everybody. It's Matt Scudero with the Credit Research Foundation. Welcome to today's micro learning session with NCS. The topic is UCC filing miscues. I know it's going to be a great subject. I know that the devil is always in the details, and we don't want any miscues. We are lucky enough to have Jerry Bailey with us. Jerry is with NCS. NCS is a platinum partner of CRF, and we are extremely appreciative of all they do for the foundation and for the community and discipline that we all participate in. Jerry, you have a great topic for us today. Looking forward to the knowledge share. I am going to pass it off to you. And again, looking forward to the communication.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you for having me in again. I appreciate it. And NCS always appreciates participating in the educational programs that CRF puts on. But yeah, we're going to talk about UCC filing miscues. We've talked in other micro learning sessions about some of the steps of UCCs. This one's going to be about making sure we're doing things properly. We talked about security agreements before. We're going to focus on some of the things we can do procedurally or on the financing statement in this micro learning session. Again, I think we all recognize there's a value to being a secured creditor ahead of an unsecured creditor. As we move ahead through this year, priority of claims, I think, is going to become increasingly more important. We want to make sure if we are making this decision to become a secured creditor that we're carrying out so that we are protected to the extent we believe we're protected. So what are some of the ways that we can make mistakes or perhaps shoot ourselves in the foot in the process of doing our UCC filings? Well, the first one that's going to come up really is naming errors. Within the UCC process, we talked about getting the debtor name correct in the other micro learning session about security agreements. The commissioners of Article 9 basically tell us that getting the correct name of the debtor on your UCC filing is mission critical to your UCC filing. Getting the correct legal name and listing it properly on the financing statement. The financing statement is the public record. This is where people are going to search when there's defaults and bankruptcies. So this is, one of the blocks of our UCC filing system. So we have to make sure we get this debtor name correct. If there is a default or a bankruptcy, the trustee is going to do a search in the proper jurisdiction using the standard search logic for that state. Whatever comes up under that standard search logic search is a valid UCC filing. If it does not come up, strong likelihood it's going to be deemed to be seriously misleading, which means you do not have security. So we want to make sure we understand, one, correct legal name exactly as it is listed in the Articles of Incorporation. We need to pull the Articles of Incorporation to make sure we have the correct legal debtor name. And then we need to make sure we understand how the different states' standard search logics may search for things and what would be revealed under those searches. Because believe me, with 50 different states, there is not 50 different standard search logics. It can vary, and we need to understand really how that state will look and what would come up. We want to make sure we have a proper collateral description as well. One, it should match what's in the security agreement. I've seen cases where they do not. Maybe something was in the financing statement that wasn't in the security agreement or vice versa. We want to make sure that, if it's a blanket filing, it's going to be a little more generic. If it's a purchase money security interest filing, we're going to be a little more specific in how we describe our goods. If it's equipment, it's probably going to be very specific to the piece of equipment. If it's inventory, it needs to allow for the inventory to turn over as we ship new inventory into that place of business. We also need to make sure we are secured to whatever extent we are owed money too. So our collateral description needs to have that now owned and hereafter acquired property clause, because we want this to be a floating lien. If we're owed $10 tomorrow and $1 million a year from now, we're secured to whatever extent that we are owed. So we want to make sure, and we want to make sure we're filing in the right jurisdiction. And believe me, we see a lot of this at NCS, where we file now based on what form of business the debtor is and where they are that form of business. By and large, if they're registered, meaning incorporated, we're going to file in their state of incorporation, not where they're physically located. So if they're located in New York, but incorporated in Delaware, we're filing in Delaware. And we see people who don't do that. They file in New York. So back to the searching is going to be done in Delaware. that New York filing is not going to come up and you're going to be deemed an unsecured creditor. We want to make sure we get the correct jurisdiction when we are filing. We want to make sure that we are creating priority through our rules. We have to do our equipment UCC filing within 20 days of the debtor's receipt of the equipment. If we're selling inventory, we need to make sure we search and notify any previously secured creditors. We also have to make sure we're maintaining priority on our PMSI and inventory. And that means when we continue the filing into a new 5-year period, we have to search and notify again to make sure we have priority in our inventory. And lastly, make sure we're attaching attachments. If our collateral description says all equipment as further described in attachment A, we need to make sure we're attaching attachment A, because we've seen this too, where there's cases where attachment A has not been recorded with the filing, and the courts have come back and said this collateral description is insufficient, therefore you're not secured in this good. So make sure you're attaching the attachments. So again, thank you. We know the value of being secured over unsecured. Let's please make sure if we're taking the steps to become a secured creditor, we're doing them properly to provide the protection we believe we had. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at the information listed on the slide, or Matt with CRF can put you in touch with me. But thank you again, Matt. I appreciate it.
Jerry, thank you. And another great session. What a great micro learning session that is. As we close, I want to thank NCS for their continued support of the foundation as a platinum partner. Jerry, I want to thank you again as a continued educator to the field and to all of us that were on today's micro learning session. If CRF can support you in any way, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We hope you have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. Take care, everybody.